Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wednesday. I was super excited to see that you guys seem to pick up on the homework very well. Everyone I've checked so far has gotten the pattern right. Some of you guys missed one little step, but that's okay. I'm not going to make you redo it or anything, but just pay attention and I'll point it out when we get there. So, we're doing more of the same today, except we're adding in x to the third and x to the fourth. What were our steps? Chill out, right? Don't stress. Step two was to write your number. Write your number, coefficient, coefficient, all the coefficients you got. Then you draw your L. You draw your L. It's backwards for me, so I'm having to do these hand motions backwards. Next, you write your first coefficient, right? We did the arrow down, write the number. Step four was to multiply your number times your coefficient, and then write that and add it to the next column of numbers. Then we just do that again and again until we're out of numbers. Then we put our remainder over whatever the x minus number value was, and then we lower x's exponent by 1, and we write our answer. I rewrote this so I would have it, but if you guys could get that out of your notes from yesterday, so you have it, let's work some more problems. An x to the 1 problem. We're going to do review from yesterday. If I said 4x minus 6 divided by x plus 1, what would we do? First, and this is what people got wrong, you take the opposite of that number. This is a positive 1. We change that to negative 1. So we write negative 1. Then we write our coefficients in here. I have a 4 and a negative 6, so I'm going to write 4, negative 6. Then I'm going to draw my L. Now, step 2 says, or I'm sorry, step 3 says bring down my first coefficient, that would be 4, multiply my number times what I brought down. So that's negative 1 times 4, that's negative 4. And then I add these. So negative 6 plus negative 4 gives me negative 10. I don't have any more numbers, so I'm already done. These ones are short. All right? So step 6 says set my remainder, my last number, over the x value, so or over my x minus number. That was x plus 1. Lower my x to the exponent value. That was x to the 1. If I lower that by 1, that's x to the 0, so there's no x's left. So it's just 4. So my answer is just plain old 4 remainder negative 10 over x plus 1. Next one, x squared. First step, chill out. Second step, write my number. What's my number? Minus 3. It's the opposite, so it's plus 3, or positive 3. Then I write my coefficients. I have a 4, a negative 6, and a 3. So I'm going to write 4, negative 6, and 3. Then I draw my L. I bring down my first coefficient. I multiply my number times the coefficient, so that's 3 times 4 gives me 12. 12 plus negative 6 gives me 6. Now I do my second step. 3 times 6 gives me 18. 18 plus 3 gives me 21. All right, so first I put my remainder over the x minus numbers, that's x minus 3. There's my remainder. Now I lower my exponents, right? So x to the 2 goes to x to the 1. X to the 1 goes to x to the 0. So I only have an x left. So I'm going to put that x right here. This 6 is positive, so that's 4x plus 6. I could circle that, but I'm going to rewrite it. My answer is 4x plus 6, remainder 21 over x minus 3. Step 1, chill out. Step 2, write your number. What's my number? Minus 4, so that's going to change to the opposite. That'll be plus 4. Then I write all my coefficients. I have 5, negative 6, 7, and negative 8. 5, negative 6, 7, negative 8. Now I draw my L. Bring down my first coefficient, just like normal. Multiply my number times the first coefficient, just like normal. 4 times 5 gives me 20. Then I add, just like normal. 20 plus negative 6 gives me 14. All right, so second piece, Now it's 4 times 14. What's 4 times 14? 4 12, 16 plus 40, 56. Yeah. 4 times 14 gives me 56. All right, now what's 56 plus 7? That would be 63. So now what's 4 times 63? The numbers are getting big. And I don't have my calculator with me, so it looks like I'm going to have to do this by hand because I don't remember this. 254. 254. And what's 254 minus 8? That would be 246. Wow, that's a lot of numbers. So what's my last step? Set my remainder over the original number, so x minus 4. Lower all my exponents of my x's by 1, so 3 turns into 2, 2 turns into 1, 1 goes away completely. So I have x squared and x, so I'm going to put in an x squared and an x. Now I'm going to rewrite this so it's not so messy. I have a 5x squared, I have a positive 14x, I have a positive 63, and I have a remainder of 246 over x minus 4. First step, chill out. Second step, write my number and my coefficient. So what's my number? I have a plus 5 here, so that's going to be negative 5 here. Now I write my coefficients. So my x to the third coefficient is 15. My x squared coefficient, I don't have an x squared. We need a rule for this. What do we use when there's not an x squared? Well, what I need you guys to be able to recognize is if you're missing an x, the coefficient is 0. Because 0 times x squared would give me 0, so there shouldn't be anything here. So a rule that we should add to our steps is, I'm going to flip page, if you're missing an x, the coefficient is 0. If you're missing an x, the coefficient is 0. Okay? Pause the video if you need to finish writing that. I'm going to move on. My negative 5 I got from here. 15 is the coefficient of x cubed. I don't have an x squared, so the coefficient will be 0. I do have an x, so that'll be negative 7. And I do have a 3. All right, draw my L. And let's begin. Drop my first coefficient. What's negative 5 times 15? I get negative 75. And I'm going to start checking behind myself just to make sure I don't do anything dumb. Yeah, so negative 75. What's negative 75 plus 0? Negative 75. All right. So now, second piece, what's negative 5 times negative 75? I get 375. Whew, these numbers get big. So what's 365 plus negative 7? I get 368. Okie doke. Now, what's negative 5 times 368? Whew. 368 times 5. That gives me negative 1,840. What's negative 1,840 plus 3? Negative 1,837. Okay. Now that I have all my numbers filled in, what's my step? I set my last one as the remainder over the x plus something. That's x plus 5. I lower my exponents. 3 turns into 2, 2 turns into 1, 1 turns into 0. So I have an x squared, and I have an x. I'm going to rewrite it to be clear. I have a 15x squared minus 75x plus 368 remainder negative 1,837 over x plus 5. coefficients. What's my number? I see minus 8, so I'm going to write a positive 8. What are my coefficients? X to the fourth has a 7. X to the third, I don't have one, so that'll be 0. X to the second, I have 3. Normal x, I don't have one, so that's 0. And then I have a negative 7. So just to recap, my 7 came from x to the fourth, my 0 came from x to the third because I don't have one, my 3 came from x squared, my 0 came from x because I don't have an x, and then my 7 carried down as the constant. Alrighty. I'm a little cramped for space. I should have drawn this bigger, but oh well. Drop the first constant. What is 8 times 7? 56. What's 56 plus 0? 56. What is 8 times 56? These numbers get so big so fast. 8 times 56 gives me 448. What's 448 plus 3? 451. What is 451 times 8? I don't know. 451 times 8 in my calculator gives me a whopping 3,608. What's 3,608 plus 0? The same thing. Finally, what is 8 times 3,608? I get the obnoxious number 28,864. What's 28,864 combined with a negative 7? 28,857. And I'm done. Woo! Alright, so now I knock down all my powers. Or I'm sorry, I put my remainder over my x value, x minus 8, and I set that as remainder. Now I gotta plug my x's in. X to the fourth turns into x to the third. X third turns into x squared turns into x to the 1, x goes away. So let's plug in my x's back. So this 7 gets a little x cubed, this 56 gets a little x squared, this 451 turns into an x, and the 3,608 doesn't get one at all. Wah, wah, wah. So, uncompressing these, getting these bigger, my 7x to the third plus a positive 56x squared plus a positive 451x plus a positive 3,608 with a remainder of 28,857 divided by x minus 8. And just to remind you guys, what this is solving is, if our remainder is 0, that means it's a factor. So I'm not going to do this to you on the quizzes because we don't have that much time to cover this topic, but how I would have tested you is saying, is x minus 8 a factor of 7x to the fourth plus 3x squared minus 7? And then you would have done this, and then if you had a remainder, you'd say, no, it's not a factor. And if you got 0 as a remainder, you'd say, yes, it is a factor. That's really where this was headed, but first, chill out. Second, get my number. I have a plus 8. I take the opposite, so that plus 8 is going to turn into a minus 8, negative 8. Then I write all my coefficients. I have a 3 for x to the fourth. I have a 6 for x to the third. A negative 9 for x to the second. A 12 for just plain old x. And then a negative 11. Looks like this one's going to be a long one. Alrighty, so first things first. Drop my first coefficient. What's negative 8 times 3? Negative 24. What's negative 24 plus 6? Negative 18. Alright. Second number. Negative 8 times negative 18. Just do it in my calculator. I get 144. Alright. So what's 144 combined with negative 9? I get 135. Next number, negative 8 times 135. I get negative 1080. What's negative 1080 combined with 12? I get negative 1068. Finally, last number, what's negative 8 times negative 1068? Positive 8,544. What's positive 8,544 taking away 11? You get 8,533. I have all my numbers in place, so now I set my remainder over the original numbers, x minus 8, or I'm sorry, x plus 8. I knock all my powers down. X to the fourth turns into x to the third. X to the third turns into x squared. X squared turns into x to the 1. X to the 1 goes away. So let's add my x's back in. 3x cubed, 18x squared, 135x. Those are all my x's. Rewriting this to not look like a hot mess. 3x cubed minus 18x squared plus 135x minus 1068 with the remainder of 8,533 over x plus 8. And that is final. There are my problems. Now it's your turn. Here are your homework problems. Don't forget, if you are missing an x somewhere, hint hint, cough cough, number 2 and number 4, the coefficient is 0. Write it in the list just like normal. Very best of luck to you. If you need help, I will be on Zoom between 3 and 5 today. Tune in. The link will be in the GroupMe around 2:45, and ask any questions you have. Bye.